This is how to live stream on X, formerly Twitter. And this is a deep dive. If you want a quick introduction, I've put a video in the description that will get you going within 3 minutes. Starting with the requirements, which are pretty simple. You need either a PC or Mac. If you're doing something intensive for your PC, you need at least a mid-range PC or a gaming laptop. And by intensive, I do usually just mean gaming. Streaming always works best when you have headphones to reduce echo. You of course need a microphone as well. And it is proven that your engagement increases if you use a camera webcam, or you can use your smartphone as a camera. If you're using a smartphone as a camera, I'll put a video in the description which shows you how to set that up. And of course, we're using free software for this. This is going to use OBS. That said, before we get to OBS, I'm going to address one of the most common questions, which is how do you get your stream key for X streaming? And as of time of recording, you could do this with a free account. This is not locked behind premium. But if you're going to be a serious live streamer or content creator, I suggest you buy the premium because it will increase your reach. Anyway, let's get the stream key by heading to studio.x.com/producer, and we're going to click onto sources. What we're going to do is going to click create source, and I've named my source OBS stream key. We're going to leave it on RTMP. I'm going to select a region. Just pick whatever is the closest region for you. And of course, we click create. And I now have the required server URL, and here is my stream key. Of course, don't reveal this to people. I will just delete mine after this video is made. So we'll come back to the stream key later. Just press done for now, and you can see it's now been added inside your producer. Once we've set up our live stream in OBS, we'll come back to the producer to start the stream. And speaking of OBS, go ahead and download OBS. I'll put it linked in the description. Just run through the installer and get it open. And of course, yours won't look like this. Yours will be blank. Let's do some basics to start with. We're going to run the auto config wizard. So we're all going to press profile and new if you don't have an auto config wizard showing. I've named my profile X streaming. I'm going to check the auto config wizard and press OK. We are going to optimize this for streaming, although we still will be able to record. We're going to use 1920 by 1080 as the base canvas resolution, and 60 is going to be our FPS. We'll press next again, and underneath service it still says Twitter, so we'll choose that option. Now handily, they've put this get stream key button, which opens the producer that we had open before. So you can just click on your stream key, you can click the drop down, you can Control C to copy your stream key, and if I go back into OBS, I can Control V to paste it. I'm going to uncheck estimate bitrate. Then we need to pick the correct server. So if you saw earlier on, I chose Ireland, so I have to match that. And crucially, we want to increase the bitrate. You can go between 6,000 and 9,000 depending on your internet speed. Anything over 9,000 is not going to increase the quality on a 1080p live stream. And with that all set, I'm going to press next. Maybe again, just head back to the producer and double check the region. Mine says EU Ireland, and we have to match it up with OBS. So you can see mine says server EU Ireland. So happy with that, we'll press apply. This is going to apply just some good stream settings to our OBS. So I'll press apply. Next thing I'm going to do is click on scene collection new. Sounds a bit sus, but I've named it X scenes, and I'll press OK. And now we should have a blank 1080p canvas. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on settings, which is behind my head. You can also go file and settings, and we're going to add in our microphone and headset. So we're going to click onto audio. Under desktop audio, my speakers, which is my headset, is my Cloud 2 wireless. My microphone is my Quadcast. Again, we don't need to play around with many other settings. OBS gave us some good settings. We will have a brief look later to change a few things, including for recording, but we'll press OK for now. And you can see in the audio mixer, we've now got 2 things added. There is a very important filter to add to our microphone. So you can either right click the microphone or click the 3 dots and choose filters. We're going to add noise suppression, which will remove the sound of things like computer fans and AC. I'm going to click the plus button. I'm going to click noise suppression. I'll press OK. RN noise is fine for most people. If your room's really bad and you do have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can try the NVIDIA options, but we'll leave it on RN noise. We'll press close. This just dramatically improves the quality of our microphone. And we've got our desktop audio added as well. You could play a YouTube video, Spotify or something just to confirm that this green bar moves up and down. Right, it's time to set up the actual stream now. You saw earlier that Elon had his game and his camera. So we'll do one of those scenes and we'll do a full camera scene as well. So on the left, it should say scene or something similar. I'm going to right click and rename. And I've just named this one full camera and I'll press enter. And I'm going to click the plus button underneath scenes. and I'll name this computer display. You could be more descriptive, such as gameplay, and I'll press OK. Now, of course, we're still on a blank canvas. I'm going to click back onto full camera, and on this one, we're simply going to add our camera. So at this point, of course, make sure your camera's already plugged in. Again, you can use your smartphone as a camera. I'll put a link in the description for that. We'll see a list of cameras in a second. If your camera doesn't appear, just close and reopen OBS. Anyway, we'll click the plus button under sources. The camera is actually called a video capture device. So we'll click on that one. And this is where you just name your camera. So I'm going to add one of my second cameras, which is my OBS tail layer. So I've typed the name of the camera. I'll press OK. Now you just have to find the camera off the list. And at this point, we usually have to make a few changes here because it doesn't often add it at the highest quality. So I'm just going to drag this down to get more options, something like that. And underneath resolution FPS type, I'm going to go custom. Underneath resolution, you'll likely have either 1920 by 1080 for a 1080p camera or 3840 by 2160 for 4K. So I've got a 4K camera here, so I'll add it in 4K. And of course, we want the highest FPS possible. Sorry, I clicked the wrong one. So 30 FPS. Video format, you can usually leave it on any, but if you know you have a better video format for your camera like I do, I'm using MJPEG. And I'll leave all the other options as they are, and I'll press OK. And if you need to resize your camera, you can either drag the red squares that appear and keep moving it around like this, or alternatively, you can right-click, transform, and fit the camera to the screen. If you want to crop your camera, you can see I'm quite zoomed out. My OBS tail layer can actually just pan, tilt, and zoom, but let's pretend that it can't. So I'm going to hold Alt and drag the squares, and you can see it's cropping it. So I can get the camera more in frame and just showing me and not the rest of the room. So I've just spent a few minutes playing around with it, and we've got something like this. And when you're happy with the way your camera looks, just lock it into place by pressing the padlock. So now I'm trying to click, but I can't accidentally click on the camera and move it around while I'm live. And that's all we're doing for this scene. It's just a full camera scene. A lot of people like to just go live and talk with their chat. And that's what you would use this full camera scene for. But of course, again, as we saw at the start, there's a lot of gaming streams and a lot of people who want to show their computer screen. So let's now click on our computer display scene. And of course, now we're going to add the display and our camera. Now there's a few ways to add the display. If I press the plus button, what I prefer, it's the easiest method, is just display capture. This will just show everything on a particular screen. So I'm going to add my second monitor in, and then I'm just careful what I show. All these capture methods will work in a similar way. If you want to be more careful, then add game capture and it will just capture whatever specific game that you want. Similarly, you can do window capture. Anyway, they're all similar. I'm just going to keep it simple. I always keep it simple, and I'm going to add display capture. You can call it the name of your monitor. I'll just call it monitor 2 and I'll press OK. And now underneath display, I'm just going to find the correct monitor. There it is. We'll capture the cursor, automatic method. We're not forcing SDR. We'll press OK. Again, if you need to resize it, you can drag the squares, you can right click, transform, and use some of these options. Or if it's just a 1080p screen like mine, then it's probably already in the correct position. So I'll just lock it into place. And of course, we're going to add a camera on top. Now, the good thing is our camera is already added. So we press the plus button, video capture device, but this time we add existing OBS tail layer. We've got the correct settings. We just need to resize it again and get it looking good for this scene. And for me, again, I'm just going to hold Alt and drag and crop things until this is looking good. You know, and that's good enough for the purposes of this demonstration. But of course, I want to make it smaller. So you just drag the corner down and then you just drag it to move it around. For example, Elon on his game had it in the bottom right. I'm going to make myself slightly bigger again. And I'm just going to go on the left-hand side, offset a bit because I think it looks better. If you want to move 1 pixel at a time, you can use the arrow keys. So let's go precisely 10 pixels off the left side. And if I want to center myself perfectly, right click, transform, and I'm going to center vertically this time. And if I lock myself into place, I'm now centered vertically perfectly. Now at this stage, we do basically have a full X live stream set up, and you could go live like this. So if you want to skip ahead to the end where we actually show how to go live, then you can. But if you want to learn how to add more stuff to your live streams, including overlays and donation links, and stuff like how to record, then keep watching. And we'll start just with the basics of adding extra stuff. So under these sources, as you probably already worked out, you can basically add anything off this list. The most common one is usually an image, and another common one is text. So for example, you might just want to advertise something, advertise a website or a social media, and you might have an image that does that. You just click on image, you give it a name if you want, press OK, click browse to find the image. Then you would just move it around the screen and crop it like we've already done with my webcam. Anyway, I'll cancel out of that and I'll right click and remove it. And you probably saw at the start of this video that I had a custom overlay. So let's look at 3 different ways to get overlays, which can just improve the quality of the stream and make you look a little bit more professional. And we'll start with Canva because this is free, or else you just typed it into Google. It's canva.com. And basically Canva has a ton of free templates. So let's just try this live. Let's try typing in live stream. We might need to type Twitch instead. I'm not sure. But no, we've got an example here of a stream starting soon screen. So I would just click on customize this template. And then Canva's really easy to use. You can just click on, double click on to change text, change whatever you want. Then when you're happy with it, you would press share and you would download it. So if you want some free overlays, go and look through Canva's different overlay templates. That said though, if you want high quality professional overlays fully customized for you, then I recommend a service like Fiverr. I'll put my affiliate link for Fiverr in the description. And again, the overlay that I use on my own live streams is from Fiverr. The particular one who made mine is the dude called Fares here. And again, the great thing about Fiverr is you can read everyone's ratings and you can talk directly with the artist and specify exactly what you want from your overlay. So again, I think Fiverr really is the highest quality when it comes to getting overlays. So I'll put my affiliate link in the description, but let's look at one more. And this is owned.tv. Again, I'll put my affiliate link for this in the description. This is just ready-made overlays. So of course they don't have some specific for Twitter X, but if we just click on stream overlay packages, you can usually just customize the Twitch, Kick or YouTube ones. Just randomly looking at one, this really doesn't have much reference to Twitch anyway. It's just got some things like panels that you won't need for X. Anyway, Owned TV, it's not as customizable as Fiverr, but if you just want some ready-made, ready to download, high quality overlays, then check out Owned TV. And then if you want to add them into OBS, of course, if you have a starting or ending, you need a new scene. So you press the plus button, you would name it something like starting, press OK. And then usually your overlay is either an image or a media source if it's moving. So let's just add in my overlay again. So my example is the starting soon image. So I'll press browse to find it. And I've found the folder where it is. And this is the image. So I've added it. I'll press OK. Again, you might need to move it around. I don't. So I'll just lock it into place. And you would just keep doing that for all the different assets. All right, so we've got any overlays we want. Let's look at how to add a donation link to your live stream so people can support your live stream on X. There's not many monetization features for live streaming built directly into X yet. But what we can do is add a Streamlabs donation link. So I'm on streamlabs.com. You want to click login or sign up. And then we want to head on streamlabs.com/dashboard. I'm going to click onto settings and account settings platform. And just make sure here your X account is linked. And then what I'm going to do is on the left-hand side, I'm going to click on tipping. Now, of course, you want to start by connecting PayPal and any other method. And you could play through tip page design, tip history, and tip settings if you wanted to. The defaults are usually fine. And there's 2 things we now need to do. We need to add donation alerts to the live stream, and then we need a way to spread our donation link. So let's start with the donation alert. So I'm actually now going to click onto alert box, and I'm going to click to copy the URL, and I'll click copy. Then we're going to head back into OBS, and you usually want to add this onto every scene. I'll start on the computer display scene. I'll press the plus button. This time it's browser. I'm going to name these Streamlabs alerts. For now, Streamlabs can't alert you for new X followers, but it might be able to in the future, so that's why I'm giving it a generic name. We'll press OK, and I'm going to replace this URL with my Streamlabs URL. And you can play around with the width and height if you want. We're going to shut down source when not visible, and I'll press OK. And I'm just going to right-click it, transform, and center it to the screen. You can place it where you want. We'll test this in a second, by the way, so you can actually see what it looks like. Anyway, I'm just going to lock it into place. Now, if you really want to customize the alerts, if we head back to this page, you can click through everything on the left to customize it. Obviously, we're talking about tips here, so the tips page is the key one you might want to customize. Then you can get a preview of what it will look like. Anyway, for now, let's focus on the donation link. So I'm going back to the dashboard. I'm going to click onto tipping, and the tip page is appearing in the top right corner. I'm going to click on it to copy it. Now, there is quite a few places you could add this on X. You could put it somewhere in your bio, like here. You could put it as your link here. You could just full on post it. You could pin it. You could put it in your highlights. Or once you're live with your live stream, you could reply to your live stream with the link. It's up to you wherever you post this donation link. That's your decision. You could also theoretically add it on the screen as a text source. Now, before we test this, I forgot to add it to the other scene. So I'll click on the full camera scene, but luckily we just click on browser and then just add existing. And again, I want it centered, so transform fit to screen. I actually did that wrong. I don't want to fit it to screen. I wanted to center it to screen. So transform, reset transformation, and then right click, transform, center it to screen. There we go. And I would also add it to my starting and whatever else I added as well. So let's quickly add that. Hopefully I get the right transform this time. Don't forget to lock everything in place just so you don't accidentally click on it. And now we can test it. So let's head back to the Streamlabs website. There we go, the Streamlabs website. If I click back onto the alert box, if I click down onto tips, I can then click on the test button and scroll down to Streamlabs, click on tipping. And if I now quickly reopen OBS, you can see the donation has now appeared. If you're wondering how mine is actually looking so good, I'm using the Streamlabs Alerts overlay widget, part of Streamlabs Ultra. I'll put a more detailed guide about customizing Streamlabs Alerts in the description. Of course, you might think your alert is too small or too big, so you might want to unlock the source to resize it if you want. Anyway, that's donations covered. Let's look at recording our live stream. And we have a few options here. Firstly, if you're going to make vertical content, and I strongly recommend it, then I recommend you close OBS, download Atom Vertical, and then reopen OBS. And then if I click on docs and click on vertical sources, vertical scenes, and vertical, you can see on the right hand side, I've now basically got a second canvas where I can add things in. So for example, I can click the plus button and add in my camera again. And again, I could right click, transform it and fit it to screen. And I've now got a canvas where I can record things in vertical mode. I've also got this button, which is the backtrack button. This will let me easily clip the last X amount of seconds, and you specify that in the Atom vertical settings. So for me, it's set to clip the last 60 seconds. So if something happened in my live stream and I wanted to clip the last 60 seconds, with Atom vertical, I would just click the backtrack button. I'll put a longer Atom vertical guide in the description, definitely worth considering. If you just want to record a VOD while you're live of the landscape live stream, let's show how to do that. Click onto settings, and firstly, let's click onto output. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the recording format to MP4. We might have a few warnings down here, that's fine. We'll just press apply on those. Of course, make sure you've got the correct recording path wherever you want to save your videos. And then I'm going to click into general and I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And here in general, I'm going to check this box which says automatically record when streaming. So we now press OK, and it's as simple as that. When I go live, it's going to automatically record a VOD of the live stream onto my computer. Of course, that is going to use a little bit more of your computer's resources. In the bottom right, I'm hiding it, but you can see the CPU usage. And the other thing I'll mention in the producer, if I click onto broadcasts and I just randomly click on one of the broadcasts, you can see we've got edit in live cut. It seems like you can create and post clips using this. I've honestly not played around with it, but you can have a look at this inside the producer. And that leads us nicely onto how to actually go live on X. So we actually have to start the stream in two places. We have to start the stream in OBS, and we also have to start the stream and set up a post on X. So in OBS, we can hit start streaming, but we're not actually going to be live yet. And I'm just interrupting here because unfortunately it seems from this point onwards, as soon as I went live on one OBS, my other OBS went super slow, and I've never had this bug before, but I'm sorry that it's slow, but just listen along, you should still be able to follow it. That is because we have to come to the producer. In the top right, click on create broadcast, and we're going to go under the broadcast details. So if we look at Elon's example, he put testing X streaming and Starlink. So that is the broadcast name here. So for me, I'll just type in live stream. I'm not actually sure what the categories do because there's no sign of any category here, and there's no sign of any category on this page unless I'm missing something. But I've just picked tech as my category. Crucially, underneath source, we made the OBS stream key earlier on. And if you select that, give it a few seconds, it should now load a preview of your live stream. And it can take 10 or 20 seconds, but as you can see, the preview is now loaded. You might need to mute it. And then we've got to go through all the different options. For example, verified accounts, only chatting, hearts on, start immediately. And really all these other options, when I check down on here, we don't need to change any of these. So it's mainly just the options up here. And I'll click on create broadcast, but we're not done yet. So crucially now you have to post the live stream onto X. So you should now have a page looking like this, and you have to press the post button. And then this is where you can describe it in more detail or just add the same thing. So I'll just type, this is a test, and I'll press post. And if I now go on my alt account's X profile, you can see it's just posted it with a link to the live stream. And again, we've got the test live stream title. So you can then obviously make sure your live stream's muted. You can click into it and you can read through the chat. You could read it off your phone. And then when you want to end the live stream, you have to end it in 2 places. Make sure you end it inside the producer. And of course, make sure you come into OBS and click on stop streaming. So sorry about the lag at the end there. If you're looking to multi-stream from X to one of either YouTube, Kick, or Twitch, you can watch these videos.